Rain hammered against the glass walls of the restaurant, a dull rhythm that matched the pounding in Ethan Cole's chest. He checked his watch again, 6:59 p.m. He was early, too early maybe, but he couldn't risk being late. Not tonight. He had ironed his only decent shirt 3 times, polished shoes that had long lost their shine, and even borrowed a tie from his neighbor. Across the table sat a single rose in a cheap vase, something he thought might add a touch of warmth. He wasn't sure what women like her preferred. After all, what could a single dad with 2 jobs possibly offer a CEO who owned half the city? That was the thought that kept looping through his mind until the restaurant door opened and she walked in. Cassandra Hart. 32, tall, composed, and elegant, wrapped in confidence and a charcoal gray coat that screamed designer. She moved with the kind of grace that turned heads without trying. For a moment, Ethan forgot to breathe. Then her sharp eyes found him, and she smiled politely, the kind of smile people gave to a mistake they were willing to tolerate for a night. "You must be Ethan," she said, voice smooth, controlled. "You're early." He stood awkwardly, fumbling with his chair. "Yeah, didn't want to make you wait." She sat down, placing her purse neatly beside her chair. "Punctuality's good. Though I wasn't expecting this." Ethan blinked. "This?" Her eyes drifted over his worn shirt, the slightly frayed tie, then down to his work-roughened hands. She didn't say it outright, but her silence spoke volumes. He smiled, trying to lighten the air. "Guess you were expecting someone taller or richer." "Not richer," she replied coolly. "Just different." "The agency mentioned you're a single father?" "Yeah. My daughter, Lily. She's 6. His face softened. "Smart as a whip, talks more than I do." Cassandra's eyebrow arched. "And you work as?" "Mechanic," he said, trying not to sound apologetic. "At Jensen's garage. Been there 8 years now." Something flickered across her face, disappointment maybe. She reached for her wine. "I see." He swallowed. The small candle between them flickered like it was trying to hold the mood together. He wanted to tell her that he wasn't just a mechanic, that he used to study engineering before life got complicated, before Lily's mother walked out, before bills stacked up like bricks around him. But he stayed quiet. She didn't seem like the type to care about stories like his, so, she said after a moment, "You fix cars." "That's admirable, I suppose. I can't imagine being content with such a job." Her tone was polite, but her words sliced deep. Ethan nodded slowly. "Well, someone's got to keep your BMW running." For a second, surprise flashed in her eyes, and then, against her own will, a tiny smile tugged at her lips. "Touché." The waiter appeared, saving the moment. They ordered, mostly in silence. Ethan tried, he really did, to steer the conversation somewhere lighter. But Cassandra's wall never cracked. She talked about her company, her long work hours, her lack of time for distractions. He listened, offering smiles and small nods, even when she accidentally implied that people in his position didn't understand ambition. When the bill came, Ethan reached for it out of habit. Cassandra stopped him gently but firmly. "Please. I insist. Consider it an act of generosity." He froze, heat rising in his cheeks. "Right. Thanks." Outside, the rain had turned into a storm. They stood at the restaurant's entrance under the flickering awning. Ethan offered to walk her to her car, but she shook her head. "It's fine. My driver's coming." He nodded, gave a small, awkward wave, and turned to leave. The night swallowed him up, the sound of thunder echoing down the wet streets. He didn't look back, but fate wasn't finished with either of them. The storm grew worse as the city dimmed under power outages. Cassandra sat in her car, scrolling through emails when traffic halted suddenly. She sighed, tapping the steering wheel impatiently. Outside, lightning illuminated the road, a flash revealing a fallen power line blocking the intersection, then, chaos. A screech. A van up ahead spun out, slamming into a pole. Sparks burst across the wet ground. People screamed. Cassandra's driver jumped out to check what happened. Another flash, and the next thing she saw was a child, small and terrified, frozen in the middle of the road as electric wires hissed near her feet. "Lily," a voice shouted. Cassandra's heart stopped. That voice, she knew it. Ethan. He sprinted through the rain, no umbrella, no hesitation. The world seemed to slow as he dashed toward the little girl, ignoring the danger. One wrong step and he'd be gone. But he didn't think twice. He reached her, scooped her up, and dove away just as a live wire cracked against the ground behind him. Cassandra's breath caught in her throat. She threw open her car door and ran toward them, her heels slipping on wet asphalt. "Oh my God, are you okay?" Ethan's chest heaved, his arms still tight around Lily. "She's fine," he said, voice trembling. "She just wanted to find me." Cassandra looked at him, really looked, and for the first time that night, she didn't see a mechanic or a man beneath her social class. She saw a father, soaked and shaking, willing to risk his life for his daughter without a second thought. Lily looked up, eyes wide. "Daddy, I was scared." "I know, sweetheart." He pressed his forehead to hers. You're safe now. Cassandra felt something shift inside her, guilt, admiration, maybe something deeper. She knelt beside them, her expensive coat ruined in the mud. You saved her. Ethan gave a faint smile. Any dad would. She shook her head. No. Not any dad. Hours later, after paramedics checked everyone and the storm began to fade, Cassandra sat on the curb beside Ethan. For the first time, she was quiet, not the confident CEO, not the woman who measured people by their worth, but just a person. I owe you more than I can say, she whispered, you don't owe me anything. He shrugged. Just glad she's okay. She turned to him, her eyes soft. I was wrong about you. About everything tonight. He smiled wearily. You don't have to say that. But I do, she said. You made me realize something. I've spent years thinking success meant never needing anyone. But maybe real strength isn't about money or status, it's about who you are when things fall apart. He looked at her, rain still dripping. Ethan watched, a small smile curving his lips. Maybe this wasn't how either of them expected the night to go. But as dawn began to break over the wet streets, one thing was clear: sometimes, the people we underestimate end up showing us what love and courage really look like.